A&M medical students are receiving hands-on experience in a unique way. We tell you how cadavers are involved. Plus, a high school powerlifter with big goals is inspiring his community.
After a mix of sun and clouds this afternoon, we'll do it again for tomorrow afternoon with highs in the 80s. No rain there, but we might see a little bit of some shower and thunderstorm chances return for the weekend. Your KRHD News starts right now.
Connecting the Brazos Valley, this is KRHD News.
Good afternoon and thanks for tuning in today. I'm Brittany DeFran. Marine veteran Trevor Reed is back in Texas. His plane touched down in San Antonio early Thursday morning. Trevor's parents say the call came in the middle of the night. They were able to talk to their son a few times on his flight. They have been fighting for years for his release, and they went straight to the top to see their son.
But we're so thankful for President Biden meeting with us and then taking this swift action after meeting with him. We believe that he probably saved our son's life.
It's not clear at this time when Trevor will be reunited with his parents. While they are happy to have him back home, they hope this release will draw attention to other Americans currently detained in Russia as well. Bryan police are searching for two missing teens. Natalia Alvarado was last seen on Tuesday the 26th near the 2700 block of North Earl Rudder Freeway around 12:40 in the afternoon. She was wearing a dark jacket, a white shirt, and jeans. Authorities think she may still be in the area, possibly with another juvenile. Another missing teen, Mario Gayton, was last seen in the same area as Natalia Alvarado. He was last seen around 11:45 a.m. Tuesday morning. Mario was last seen wearing a gray-black sweater and dark jeans. If you have any information on the missing teens, contact Bryan Police on the number on your screen. For medical students, Texas A&M College of Medicine gaining hands-on experience may look a bit different. Through the Willed Body program at A&M, cadavers are donated to assist students in understanding the anatomy of the body. During these studies, they focus on basic instrument handling and dissection techniques.
There's no way that I would have been able to really adequately understand the human body in such a three-dimensional way. I really feel that their gift to us has made all the difference.
Students feel the difference almost immediately as they say their academic careers are propelled by their experiences. Today, the Willed Body program students have also provided a proper ceremony as a form of saying thank you to their first patients. A local coalition has received recognition from the state of Texas for its work on suicide prevention. The Brazos Valley Coalition on Suicide Prevention was named the 2022 Outstanding Local Coalition, awarded by the Texas Suicide Prevention Collaborative located in Austin. The coalition, founded in 2019, focuses their efforts to reduce suicide through education and teaching.
It means a lot to the community to know that, hey, this organization is here. We're top notch. We know how to help people prevent suicides as well as help people recover. So I think it's really important that we have the recognition, not so much for ourselves, but for the community to know that, hey, we're here and we're here to help people and we can do an effective job if given the opportunity.
Vance adds that the coalition will continue its suicide prevention and awareness education, focusing in schools, universities, veterans organizations, and law enforcement agencies. The nationwide shortage of baby formula is causing stress for parents right here in the Brazos Valley. KRHD reporter Rebecca Fiedler introduces us to some local moms who are responding to the issue.
When some parents in the Brazos Valley open their pantries, this is what they're seeing: nothing.
Beth Collins can often be found protecting her community as a volunteer firefighter in Snook. When not doing that, she's spending her time raising 4 children, including 3-month-old Weston. Collins has breastfed all her babies, but when her body stopped producing milk for Weston, her pediatrician recommended her to a specific formula brand, a brand she can't easily find like she used to.
And, they can post where they see stuff and someone else in that area can see it and know where to go for the right one. Or if someone has questions about, have y'all seen this formula? I'm really needing it for my baby. Do y'all happen to know where I could find it at? Then we can help those people find a specific one.
Collins connected with other moms on Facebook and eventually created a group of her own this week called Baby Feeding Support. As of this afternoon, the group has more than 40 members. Parents on the group help each other trade and find formula or breast milk.
WIC of the Brazos Valley are encouraged that the shortage will be ending soon. They've already started to see some products restocked. Reporting in Bryan, Rebecca Fiedler, KRHD News.
The state of Texas has been dealing with a housing crisis. Now learning Texas is one of the worst for renters. That includes for those here in Central Texas. In-depth reporter Nick Bradshaw breaks it down for us.
When it comes to finding a place to live, it's becoming harder and harder in Texas. Why is that?
Texas right now is facing very strong demand both for homeownership and for rental properties.
A new report shows that the Lone Star State is one of the worst for renters, lacking over 600,000 rental properties.
We've got strong population growth. We're one of the fastest growing states in the nation. So on the demand side, we just have very strong fundamentals. And then that's really constrained on the supply side, where we have a shortage of an availability of developable land, especially in our large cities. They're already somewhat supply constrained in that sense. And then we're also facing a lot of issues with construction materials and labor. So we simply just can't put new homes, new apartments, etc. on the ground fast enough.
So now many people are moving to Central Texas.
A lot of expansion along that I-35 corridor, particularly from Dallas to Austin. And so Waco is quickly becoming a very hot spot on the map. Home prices are rising fairly quickly in Waco, exceeding or reaching double digits over much of 2021 and 2022.
But many of those looking for a place to live, in fact, 74%, are lower income. Once again, the working poor, they are being hit the hardest.
We know that low-income families are the most vulnerable when it comes to indebtedness. So when they incur mortgage debt, they're the most vulnerable to things like inability to repay the mortgage and potentially foreclosure. And then on the rental side, they're the most vulnerable to evictions. And so as home prices increase, and especially as rents increase, these low-income families are going to be more vulnerable to mortgage default, home foreclosure, and eviction.
So that trillion-dollar question, when can we see relief?
Well, I hate to tell folks this, but the housing market is just very strong. Again, here in Texas, we have strong demand fundamentals, just high population growth and expectations for that to continue, and just really not seeing much relief on the supply side.
Nick Bradshaw, 25 News.
Today, the FDA laid out a plan to ban menthol cigarettes and all flavored cigars. Now, there are worries that the ingredient and its cooling effect makes them more addictive. Menthol accounts for more than a third of all cigarettes sold in the United States, and experts say it is favored by young and Black Americans.
We're doing this for the Black smoker who is a victim, whether they know it or not. Some people feel like they made a choice, they're an adult, but they are at the end of such a long string of structured predatory activities that have been going on for decades.
Groups like the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council say aggressive campaigns have targeted the Black community. The Truth Initiative, you've probably seen their campaigns on TV. They say that tobacco and racism are really tied together. The European Union and Canada have both banned menthol.
And the conversation did not touch on what do Black people want, that this is something that's going to hurt Black people. And the fact that in the United States, that's a big part of this conversation really is a demonstration of the racism that we have faced with this product and the benign neglect of our own government to protect us.
Now, companies selling the products claim a ban will create an unregulated criminal market for menthol and could lead to increased interactions between police and the black community. Now, Krhd disagrees because she says the ban targets manufacturers, not individual smokers. This FDA plan still has to go through a public comment period. The final rules could come out next year, but likely not go into effect until 2024.
The coronavirus pandemic may have affected workplace creativity. That's according to research released Wednesday in the Scientific Journal. The study's author says employees on virtual meeting programs like Zoom have a little more difficulty coming up with innovative ideas than those who talk in person. However, researchers did admit there are a few stipulations to the study. They say the process of coming up with ideas appeared to happen easier in person, but the difference in making critical decisions on those ideas was minimal. Twitter is making bank. A social media company reported making $513 million during the first 3 months of the year. That's a 16% revenue gain compared to the same time last year. The announcement comes days after Twitter agreed to be sold to Elon Musk for nearly $44 billion. The deal is expected to close later this year. Twitter's headquarters could be moving to Texas. The Austin area could end up being the new home for the $44 billion company. Texas rancher Jim Schwartner tweeted to Elon Musk on Tuesday offering to give 100 acres to Elon Musk for free to bring Twitter to headquarters to Texas. Governor Greg Abbott also tweeted out to Musk to encourage him to move Twitter to join Tesla, SpaceX, and the Boring Company. Another vaccine is seeking emergency use authorization for young children. Moderna announced Thursday it's looking for authorization from the Food and Drug Administration for its vaccine to be given to children from 6 months to 5 years old. Moderna officials say the vaccines are safe and common reactions were minimal. The FDA says it will inspect Moderna's submission and will meet with an advisory committee to discuss the issue. Menthol cigarettes may end up fading away like smoke. Thursday, the Food and Drug Administration proposed a rule that would ban menthol from being used in the production of cigarettes. Officials say this is a necessary step to help protect public health. The FDA says taking menthol out of cigarettes could result in saving 650,000 premature deaths over the next 4 decades. They say smoking is the #1 cause of preventable death.
Puffy cumulus clouds on our time lapse, and you'll notice plenty of sunshine making its way through. It's actually a very pretty picture from our Clark roofing cam there in Bryan College Station, and those are going to be generally fading away over the next few hours, making for a rather quiet and clear overnight. Through the next several days, our high temperatures are going to be in the 80s, not moving a whole lot, basically mid-80s or upper 80s through next week. By the time we get to the weekend, we will be looking at a chance of a few storms, but those chances are pretty small. In fact, going into next week as well, small chances of rain will continue basically almost every single day through next week. But again, we're looking at isolated chances for now. Maybe we could start to up some of those possibilities in future forecasts. Going into tonight, remaining clear until tomorrow morning, that is, and that's when we see more stratus cloud activity come up from the south, so a cloudy start to Friday. But by the time Friday afternoon rolls around, we will see plenty of clearing start to take place, so looking at a partly cloudy day there. Maybe a shower or two on Saturday morning with cloudy conditions here, with once again attempting to clear out by the time we get to Saturday afternoon. We'll also be watching Saturday evening for the potential for an isolated thunderstorm or two to roll in, but nothing really major happening there. 68 degrees tonight for your low. Franklin 66, Madisonville at 64. Tomorrow in the 80s, 85 for Hearn and 83 for Franklin. I think Bryan College Station will be right about 87 degrees with Brenham also at 87. And those temperatures are going to be staying pretty much like that for the next several days. Check it out. We've got 84, 85, 86, 87, up to 88 degrees out there on Wednesday. But small chances of rain will exist each day for the next about 6 to 7 days, excluding tomorrow. And then Wednesday, or Monday rather, we're looking at a 30% chance of rain and some thunderstorms possible. And that's really the best chance we have out there for now. But I wouldn't be surprised to see more confidence for some better rain chances emerge, again, as future forecasts unfold with temperatures in the upper 80s about 9 days from now.
We could be getting closer to having a COVID vaccine for young kids. Today, Moderna became the first vaccine maker to ask the FDA to authorize low doses for its shot for kids under 6. Those doses are each a quarter of what adults get. Moderna says its data shows that the vaccine is 51% effective against symptomatic infection among kids younger than 2 and 37% effective among those 2 to 5. Pfizer is also expected to announce soon if 3 of its even smaller dose shots work for young kids. The FDA vaccine chief has said the agency will move quickly without sacrificing the standards in deciding if the vaccines are safe and effective. Now, there are concerns about climate change increasing the risk of new infectious diseases. Researchers say we could see thousands of new viruses spread among animal species by 2070, and that is likely to increase the possibility of those diseases jumping from animals to people, but that not all of them would become pandemics. Now, these findings were published in the journal Nature. They used a model to look at how more than 3,000 mammal species might migrate and share viruses if the world warms by more than 3 degrees Fahrenheit. Millions of chickens at poultry farms have already become sick, died, or been killed due to the highly contagious avian flu outbreak. Raptors and birds of prey are also becoming infected, and Usher Qureshi shows us the action that a growing number of zoos are taking and how your next visit might be different.
At the Brookfield Zoo just outside Chicago, the white pelicans, like many other birds, have been moved indoors to protect them from a deadly avian flu strain.
We know that this year the bird flu outbreak is a very dangerous one. It's a high pathogenicity avian influenza.
Dr. Satya Chinadure is the Senior Vice President of Animal Health and Welfare at the Chicago Zoological Society. He says the recent outbreak of bird flu has forced zoos around the country to move their avian populations indoors and away from the public.
Some of our birds, like peacocks, guinea fowl, that are very closely related to chickens, those are birds that we consider very susceptible to avian influenza. So we brought them into their indoor or winter holding areas. And then as we started to see more cases in the area, we also brought in our additional outdoor birds back into their indoor holding areas.
In mid-January, the Department of Agriculture first detected the highly contagious strain of avian flu in a wild bird in South Carolina. The Eurasian H5 influenza hasn't been seen here in the U.S. since 2016.
Why is bird flu such a concern for these populations?
Bird flu is a wildlife disease, right? It moves along migratory bird flyways with migratory waterfowl. And for us, we want to make sure that we're not putting any endangered, threatened species at risk of contracting this potentially deadly disease.
In recent days, dozens of bald eagles in the wild have reportedly died from the virus, likely through feeding on infected live prey or scavenging carcasses.
We're talking about the poultry industry, we're talking about the zoo industry, but obviously the birds that are being hit the hardest are free-ranging wildlife. Hundreds of birds that have potentially died from this disease, and it could be devastating for threatened populations like bald eagles.
According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, as of late last week, at least 34 states have detected a positive case of the avian flu in wild bird samples.
Here at the Bakers Lake Forest Preserve, home to one of the most substantial heron rookeries in the Midwest, over 200 wild birds died over the course of just 1 week.
Though further federal testing is underway, it's presumed to have been caused by the H5 flu. Back at the Brookfield Zoo, they've added footpath and disinfection stations to their bird buildings to prevent infectious material from spreading. And though millions of chickens have been killed to prevent the spread of the virus, Chinadure says zoos won't have to do that.
Compared to a poultry operation that might have thousands of birds, we can more effectively isolate and test individual birds here.
In the meantime, wildlife experts continue to monitor transmission through migration season, but it could be months before it's safe for these birds to go back outside. In Brookfield, Illinois, I'm Usher Qureshi reporting.
Loan forgiveness is on the way to students who went to a chain for-profit cosmetology school that is now out of business. 28,000 borrowers are eligible who attended Marinello Schools of Beauty between 2009 and 2016. This is after the government found that it failed to train students in some of the most basic elements of cosmetology, like cutting hair. Yeah. Well, the move cancels $238 million worth of student loans. Tens of thousands of people are being denied health care that should be covered under their benefits. That's what a new government report is finding. Now, this applies to those enrolled in private Medicare Advantage plans. Federal investigators are now urging Medicare officials to strengthen oversight of private insurance plans and step up enforcement when they see inappropriate denials happening. Advantage plans are most popular among older Americans, with about 28 million enrolled. The Center for Countering Digital Hate has been tracking how social media platforms respond when hateful posts are brought to their attention. A new report out today focuses on posts containing anti-Muslim and Islam hate speech. CCDH reported more than 500 posts like this to all the major platforms using the same tools provided to the average user, and overall, it found platforms failed to act 89% of the time.
What's extraordinary is that the same numbers come up every time we look at, so we reported anti-Semitic posts to the platforms a year ago, and 9 out of 10 times no action was taken. We reported posts containing serious misinformation about COVID that might lead to less of life. Again, 9 out of 10 times no action taken. These platforms have a systemic problem, and it's because they are not incentivized to actually be responsible administrators of the public square.
Now, you can see on your screen here how each platform scored in this latest report. TikTok actually took the most action, scoring 64%. YouTube did the worst, failing to act 100% of the time. YouTube did not return our request for comment on this finding. CCDH also found that people spreading anti-Muslim and Islam hate were able to connect easily through hashtags. Hashtag death to Islam was a common one that they came across.
These are incredibly offensive terms, and of course that they are used by very dangerous people to inculcate violence against innocent Muslims.
CCDH says while they push platforms and lawmakers to take more action, there are steps that you can take.
If you see someone spreading hate, immediately block them. Hate is purposeful. Like, they want to actually affect people. They want to either make you angry or they want to draw you in. The key is not to let them have their impact.
You can find more information about the efforts at counterhate.com. There's new urgency around protecting our nation's water supply.
We have a moral responsibility because this is the only public utility service consumers ingest.
Something to think about. We'll talk about the action being taken.
It's a story you'll find in a place that becomes a special place in the Brazos Valley, a school gym. Krhd News reporter Diamond Dixon brings us this one-of-a-kind story about a local student setting records in the weight bench and inspiring others.
While Jason may squat big, his dreams are bigger, like opening his own gym here in Bryan.
I'm going to Prairie View A&M. My plan is to major in computer science and try to major in business also in order to become a business owner. Maybe open up my own gym somewhere in this area.
With graduation next month, one of Jason's teammates is reflecting on their time together.
Me and Jason, we've been tight with each other since middle school, so I've just kind of been helping him out since then with just lifting and spotting up, wrapping up for our state. It feels like just having a whole extra family of just people who support you, help you out, you support them, you help them out.
With that brotherhood of support, Jason and his team held each other accountable so they could all have their win.
Sophomores just recently had great increases with their lifts. They're doing 500, 550 now. And the seniors that lifted alongside me are a lot stronger now. All of them probably could have been at state with me. They taught me form, I taught them form, how to get bigger.
While Jason is very humble, his coach says he is a leader for the team.
Wherever kids needed help in, he was good about putting in his input. If, like I said, he needed anything, his other teammates would have helped him out. He helped out his teammates. Like I said, great leader, great kid, and like I said, his future is very bright wherever he goes and whatever he wants to do.
It sounds like Jason's got a good grip on his future. Reporting in the Brazos Valley, Diamond Dixon, Krhd News.
The 2022 NFL Draft airing live tonight right here on ABC. This year's draft is taking over Las Vegas and will showcase the nation's top football prospects as they learn where they're continuing their careers. ABC's Morgan Norwood has everything you can expect ahead of the biggest night in football.
The National Football League is touching down in Sin City.
With the first pick,
the 2022 NFL Draft taking over Las Vegas, where the top 20 prospects will lean in, hoping to hear their names called for that infamous embrace from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
The NFL Draft is the king of everything sports related. There's trades, teams moving up, teams moving down, players being dealt for draft picks, teams setting up for next year's draft. I can't wait to tee this thing up.
Vegas was supposed to host the draft in 2020, but COVID forced the event to go virtual. Now, with more than 600,000 people expected to flock to the Strip compared to last year's 50,000, the city is preparing for a record turnout of football fans. Crews building out the massive floating set that will soon become the red carpet, showcasing the nation's top prospects.
It's crazy to see the sights and experience the draft.
The order for the top 32 picks in the first round is set, with the Jacksonville Jaguars picking number 1 and the Detroit Lions picking number 2. But it's the possibility of who they pick that's puzzled analysts, mock drafts, and predictions alike, as there are few top quarterbacks.
Does Trayvon Walker jump ahead of Aiden Hutchinson? If so, the Detroit Lions, Motor City is rocking. They're partying because Aiden Hutchinson stays home. He plays for the Detroit Lions.
One thing that is for certain, Sin City, known for its dazzling theatrics, will put on a great show.
There's only one Vegas, right? I mean, we might even have some sleight of hand, some compelling things, some magic acts, as it were, that we incorporate into our broadcast. And we're going to do everything in our power, including calling upon some of the resident artists in Vegas to help us really capture that feeling and atmosphere surrounding the NFL draft in Las Vegas.
And as for those resident artists taking the stage, well, you're going to have to tune in to find out who it is. Of course, you can watch the draft right here on ABC. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Las Vegas.
A federal cybersecurity task force is working to address growing concerns about hackers compromising our water supply. Thomas Hoppa is looking into the actions being taken to keep our drinking water safe.
Welcome to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, but also home to one of the oldest water systems in our country. Right over here, this is the Delaware River, one of 2 rivers used by multiple water companies and the city to supply the city with drinkable water. Now, across the country, there is an issue of national security when it comes to our water, and at the heart of it is an organization right here in Philadelphia.
If we don't think about how to protect the computer systems that control our water systems and our energy systems, they're likely to be increasingly vulnerable and increasingly attacked in the future. Those systems are increasingly vulnerable, and we're seeing more and more instances of cyber hacking, of cyber attacks.
There are more than 155,000 public water systems in the United States. Over 286 million Americans get their tap water from a community system. 8% of the U.S. community water systems provide water to 82% of the population. And according to the EPA, water distribution systems are increasingly vulnerable to interruption in service from a terrorist attack, industrial accident, or extreme weather event. Which is why there's a push to increase security, whether from outside or inside threats.
Rob Powelson, President and CEO of the National Association of Water Companies.
Something the National Association of Water Companies, based in Philadelphia, is fully behind.
We have a moral responsibility because this is the only public utility service consumers ingest. So if we don't get it right, or we have a threat vector that violates or infiltrates a industrial control system and starts messing with the chemical flows, we could have a national public health scare. And I hate to kind of create that scenario, but that's the reality.
This could have been very dangerous. That is the message from the Pinellas County Sheriff tonight as detectives work to find a hacker who they say tried to remotely poison the drinking water supply in Oldsmar.
But now the Pinellas Sheriff is teaming up with the FBI and Secret Service to track down a hacker who they say remotely accessed the water treatment system, attempting to increase the amount of sodium hydroxide in the water.
It creates mission failure for the Environmental Protection Agency to be tasked with managing a portfolio of 51,145 systems.
That one incident caused several other water companies across the country to revamp their cybersecurity, causing a ripple effect that reached the White House, and it launched a cybersecurity task force for water and waste.
The problem in cyber is we're all operating in silos. We need to share best practices. We need to adopt things like cyber mutual assistance. These are the challenges that are on the horizon for the water and wastewater sector in the U.S.
Now the NAWC is working towards getting everybody in this industry on the same page when it comes to cyber threats.
Breaking down those silos so we're all communicating, and then really adopting rigorous compliance across the sector. I get it, there's no one size fits all when it comes to cyber, so we have small systems, but cyber has to be part of the everyday business operation of a water company.
I'm Thomas Hoppo reporting.
Good information there, Thomas. Thank you. Now, you may not think about math as the solution to detecting COVID earlier, but a group of math students have actually found a way. What they've created to do this that they think could be applied to other infections in the future as well.
Partly cloudy conditions for this afternoon. We've noticed those cumulus clouds rolling through, and they're actually beginning to dissipate a little bit. So overnight, we will see some clearer skies until about 4 or 5 in the morning, and that's when some stratus clouds start to build in from the south. Those are those low and thick, kind of gloomy clouds for the morning. So not a whole lot of sunshine here, but don't worry. Those aren't going to stick around too long. By the lunch hour, everything will be thinning out. We'll be looking at partly cloudy skies for the remainder of your Friday, and Friday will be dry. Not anticipating any shower chances in there. Kind of doing it again on Saturday, starting out the morning with some cloud cover, maybe a shower or two here, but by the afternoon, we could be seeing more sunshine. There will be a frontal boundary sitting just to our north. It'll be interesting to see on Saturday afternoon and evening if some thunderstorms do get going up there. And if that happens, a little bit of that activity could be sliding down into the northern parts of the Brazos Valley for Saturday evening and Saturday night. Tonight, our lows will be in the mid-60s. Maybe upper 60s in some spots, but 64 for Madisonville, Rockdale 66, and Caldwell at 68. Then tomorrow, 85 for Hearn, Centerville 82, Bryan College Station 87, and Navasota also at 87 degrees. And those kinds of temperatures are exactly what we're expecting over the next few days. Generally mid-80s to upper 80s in a couple spots, say 88 degrees by Wednesday. So Monday, a 30% chance of rain and storms. But outside of that, our next several days, excluding tomorrow, will have 20% chances of showers and storms. So little bits, but those might go up here in future forecasts once new data comes in. We could be in the upper 80s, closer to 90, about 9 to 10 days from now.
The pandemic has shown us that we can stay connected even if we're working at home. But the news feed starts with some concerns that video conferencing may be taking away the creativity we had before the pandemic. A new study in the journal Nature says that we're so focused on that little box on our screen that our minds can turn off the skills needed to brainstorm effectively. Now, if you've been waiting to go back to a concert, next week is a really good time to look for tickets because Live Nation is doing its annual concert week. Go to their website. They have $25 tickets to more than 3,700 shows. Healthcare workers certainly have been through a lot in this pandemic, and Chipotle has found a way to say thank you. How about free Chipotle for a year? The chain giving that away to 2,000 people. You can nominate a hero in healthcare on Chipotle's website through May 6th. Manatees have been dying in record numbers because of actions by humans killing their food. Now, we've told you about manatee rescue programs trying to feed them lettuce to help them survive, but that is a short-term solution. So tomorrow, the new way researchers are helping that they think will protect the creatures long-term. But still to come today.
Ever wondered what it feels like to touch the surface of the moon? Yeah, me too, but not anymore. That's because we're about to take you to a place where creating moon dirt isn't just a reality, but a big business.
COVID has pushed medicine forward in ways we hadn't thought possible before the pandemic. Dan Grossman introduces us to some math students who say their area of expertise is proving to be key in how we'll detect infections in the future.
Where we might see things that make absolutely no sense to our untrained eye.
We think numbers are really fascinating.
Caleb Meyer sees a masterpiece.
Postdocs and graduate students have spent over a year working on this algorithm, developing it, coding it.
On our phones, they pop up as alerts, but these are the strokes of genius behind them. that allow us to understand things about ourselves we may never have been able to recognize without the help of a doctor.
So I think eventually the goal would be to develop some sort of individualized, personalized, real-time detection system of disease.
The current disease this algorithm helps detect is COVID-19, well before symptoms arise. Caleb was the lead graduate student who helped come up with it.
So the idea is we have this one signal, heart rate at time t, and then we can break it down into these different parameters.
By focusing on only two numbers from a smartwatch or fitness band, a heart rate and a step count, the equation can separate things like our resting heart rate, sleeping heart rate, and exercise heart rate, noticing small differences in each to determine whether we're sick with the virus days before a test would have been able to conclude it.
This is important for COVID, but I think it's just important for mobile health going forward.
Danny Forger is a professor of mathematics at the University of Michigan, where the algorithm was developed.
These similar algorithms could be applied to other infections or other diseases. And it really is all about the mathematics. Given this data, how much information and usable information can you get from it?
Not only does the equation shed light into the moment of infection, but the moment of recovery, as it can help us refine how long to quarantine or how long any possible infection might stick around for.
So especially maybe in low resource settings in different communities, this can give additional insight for individuals. Then also it can help understand recovery.
To us, they are numbers and letters that don't equal understanding. But to these select few, they're building blocks to potentially life-saving measures. I'm Dan Grossman.
All right, Dan, thank you. Now, it is hard to know just how many companies, data brokers have your personal information. It's really always changing, but just go on Google, type in your name. You'll see a lot of things come up. But it is getting easier, actually, to delete your online information. Now, a few new apps have launched recently in response to a more than 2-year-old California law that's around data privacy. Now, that law requires most data brokers and big companies to delete your personal info or to just stop selling it when you tell them to do it. Consumer Reports found that big companies are going along with this no matter where you live. These apps work as what are known as authorized agents.
For the user, it's pretty straightforward. You just have to give the agent permission to work on your behalf. So in some cases, that's signing an official form. You might even need a witness in the room. In other cases, it's just a part of the terms of service of a product that you sign up for. So when you sign up, it says, by signing up this product, this company has permission to make these requests on your behalf. And then off they go.
But since the authorized agent process is still so new, there are some bumps to work out. Consumer Reports recently put in requests on behalf of more than 100 volunteers asking companies to send their data to them. Less than a quarter of the time, the company sent the data to the volunteers or said it didn't have any of their data. Most of the time, the company didn't respond at all.
In general, it seems like companies aren't really ready to deal with these requests. And in some cases, the requests coming from Consumer Reports on behalf of our volunteers were the very first authorized agent requests some of these companies had ever gotten.
Kaveh Waddell with Consumer Reports says he thinks companies, as these requests come in more and more, that the process will get easier. Consumer Reports researchers want regulators to make a few changes, like giving you more time to respond to companies when they ask you to verify your information. One case, a company gave someone only a half hour to respond, and making it easier for authorized agents to prove they have permission to act on your behalf. Incogni and Optree are two apps that you'll currently find that are working as authorized agents. Their prices are around $10 a month for the least expensive plans, but it could be worth it because Consumer Reports found doing this yourself would be more than a full-time job. Now, with these companies and others that will start offering this service, Waddell advises for you to look through the terms of service. Make sure they're getting relatively little information from you and that they are being transparent about how they're going to use it. NASA is preparing to send humans back to the moon within 3 years and to Mars in the 2030s. A special kind of dirt is helping crews get ready, and Maya Rodriguez takes us inside this lab that is making this dirt that's become a very big business.
In the race into space, this might be some of its dustiest work.
This one is hematite.
Very red. Oh, it's very red, and it gets everywhere.
Welcome to Exolut Lab.
So this is, for example, our lunar Highland simulant. It makes up a good portion of the moon.
And their business is out of this world.
So what we do is we focus on making high fidelity testing materials for spacecraft that are trying to land on the moon, Mars, asteroids, or any other planetary body.
Mix them together, get them nice and homogeneous so they're all even.
In other words, making space dirt.
Simulant is what we call it here.
Anna Medke is the Director of Operations for the lab.
So this is what we have after one spin.
Which is a collaboration of faculty, students, and staff based at the University of Central Florida.
We started off making just small little bowls of simulant, but as demand has grown, we've gotten more and more industrial size.
In just 3 years, Exolut Lab went from making 3 tons of simulant to more than 10 times that amount, 37 tons, shipping it all around the world.
It's just kind of like Amazon shipping, where you order something and we can ship it out within a day or two.
Definitely not clean work.
Their clients range from big aerospace companies to local schools.
All kinds of science fair projects can happen, right? We want to inspire young minds to also solve these big problems that we're trying to solve.
Part of the charm, if you will, of moon dirt and Mars dirt like this one is that it has a tendency to get everywhere. And while it's not a problem for me here on Earth, it can be a major problem for machines when they head off-world.
It sticks everywhere. Can you imagine if you were electronics trying to survive in this kind of environment?
This was not the day to wear the black pants.
We can make lots of different variations of material here and make sure that whatever machines we devise, that they can operate in all sorts of different environments.
Previous testing over the decades relied on sand, but it didn't hit the mark in size or chemical composition. NASA's Artemis mission is preparing to send humans back to the moon within 3 years and plans to send humans to Mars in the 2030s, making simulated extraterrestrial dirt a must-have tool.
Planetary missions are expensive, so if we're going to send something to another planetary surface and then find that it gets stuck in a ditch and our rovers can't dig its way out, then we need to be able to prepare for that.
That's where Parks Easter comes in.
My job is pretty much making sure it's as close as we can get.
With information collected from previous Moon and Mars rover missions, the lab uses materials found here on Earth, in lava rocks and other materials, to recreate surface soil found on other worlds.
I'm very invested in seeing where these rovers go. I mean, specifically for Viper, that's a rover that we've helped with a lot, and it's going to the moon. You know, when it lands, it's just going to be really exciting to see how well it works.
And to see whether the soil encountered up there hit the mark down here on Earth. In Orlando, Florida, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
Thanks for watching Krhd News at 6. Round 1 of the NFL draft is up next. I'm back tonight around 10:30. Until then,